Welcome, everybody, to a brand new episode of the Wise Builders podcast. I'm your host, Mark Casto, and I cannot wait to share a special conversation that I had today with a new friend, Jen Maria. She is an absolute gem of an online coach. She's an entrepreneur, and she literally gave us gold in today's podcast. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a second, but let me address the elephant in the room, which is this. Some of you are like, Mark, where the heck have you been? And why have you not done this podcast in a while? Well, the reality is we have been taking all of our time, energy, and money and pouring it into what we believe is going to become a world-class platform for digital entrepreneurs. We have been creating resources and curriculum, video trainings for people who say, Mark, I'm ready to leave behind my 9 to 5, 40 plus work hours a week, hustle culture grind in the corporate world. And you say, Mark, I want to learn how to take my knowledge, my wisdom, my passion, my expertise, and monetize it through digital products. Well, guys, we have built that platform. Wise Builders Business Community, everything start to finish that you need to know about online business. Everything from picking your niche, how to create an ebook, even when you're not a writer, sales funnels, marketing and sales, creating a course, creating digital communities. Guys, start to finish, A to Z, online entrepreneurship, we've got it for you. And that's where I've been spending my time. I'm sure some of you've seen that my Instagram has exploded with growth, going from 3,800 followers just 3 months ago to now over 185,000 followers. Our business has just exploded with growth, with coaching and with this online platform. But guess what? I'm finally at a place where we've got most of the curriculum done, and now I have time available to jump back in to conversations like I'm going to share with you today. So thanks for being patient with me. I'm sorry that I haven't podcasted in a while, but we're back and ready to have amazing conversations. And when you come to the podcast, just know there's going to be times we believe wisdom builds families, businesses, and communities. There's going to be times where you're going to come and it's going to be conversation about family. The majority of the conversations are going to be about business and entrepreneurship because I really believe we are in a time in the culture that we exist in today where there's an amazing opportunity for you to make money online. They're saying right now, projected that this year, the creator economy, this is all the people that are digital entrepreneurs, that market is going to be over $140 billion made this year for the digital entrepreneur. They're saying that next year, that number is going to climb to over 191 billion. And they're saying by 2028, it could be almost a $500 billion industry. So the opportunity has never been greater than what it is right now. And I want to do everything in my power to make sure that you're a part of it. But today, I've got a special guest I want to share with you, give a brief introduction, then we're going to jump right into the conversation. But I want to thank you for watching. If you haven't yet, hit subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, and if you've got questions, send them. But most of all, thanks for being here. So let me introduce you to my guest, my brand new friend, Jen Maria. She's an online business coach. She's a marketing mentor. She's a legacy building Latina serving up SaaS, class, and scalable strategy since 2015. She's a multi-dimensional online business coach, a digital marketing mentor for coaches, creatives, and service providers with years of experience as a serial entrepreneur. And she's helping people like you to thrive on all levels, both internally and externally. Guys, this conversation is full of exactly what she does. She helps you hone your mindset, simplify your systems, and strategically scale your business to exceed even your own greatest expectations. What an honor it is today to make a new friend and to introduce her to you. I know you're going to be changed by this conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would, let's take this time, push out the distractions, and let's lock in because Jen Maria is about to drop wisdom on you this next hour. All right, guys. Well, welcome to the podcast. And Jennifer, thank you for being a guest today on the Wise Builders podcast.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's awesome. You know, I've spent several months now building out this whole curriculum for our online community. and it's taken me months to do and taken me away from the conversations I love to have. And in this space and time, though, I've watched a ton of creators. I've watched a ton of people in the digital marketing space and the online business space. And I came across your content and was like, I've got to have a conversation with this woman. I loved your content. I love the vulnerability. I love the transparency of it. I love how you share your life online, and your husband's important to you. All of those things. Like I love all of that. So if you scream family and business, I'm in. So I'm excited to jump in this conversation with you today. So thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to ask you a question. Most of the people that are listening to this podcast, they're either early in their journey as an aspiring entrepreneur,
Right.
but let's be honest, most of them are on the fence, and they're somewhere between, I don't love this 9 to 5, but I have security here of a paycheck.
Yep.
But I'm watching people like you all like do your thing, and I want to believe it's true, but I'm still not sure. So like, I think one of the important things is I think everybody has this moment in our journeys where enough is enough. And it's like, I'm tired of this 9 to 5 crap. I'm ready to take a risk on myself. Like, what was that moment for you to do that?
Oh God, I love this question. So, first of all, I have to correct you that I'm not married. I have a boyfriend, and it's a big deal because it's like the first real loving, committed relationship I've had.
Well, you fooled me big time.
I know. That's so funny. That's why I started laughing when you said that. And I was like, oh my God, wait till he hears this.
That's awesome.
Yeah. He's a wonderful man. And he might be the person I end up with. Who knows,
Well, man, you got big shoes to fill now.
Yeah, yeah, he does. Yes, he does.
I'm talking to him.
Yeah. He knows it. He knows it too. He's up for it. I mean, we could even talk about that later, but it's a relationship that I haven't had in a long time, especially ever since my younger brother passed. And like I said, we can get into that later. But to answer your question, I love it because Jennifer, myself, left corporate in 2015. And I was in a very different place. I'm 35, so it's been 10 years. And if there was anything I could have, actually, I wouldn't change anything about the way I did it. But people that come to me now and are like, oh, I want to leave, there are prerequisites and questions that I ask them, because I'm a firm believer of leave when you're ready and do it in a strategic way, right? Like plain and simple. And I definitely want to say that for those of us here on this side that have built the business and have the money and do this full time, we're only ever going to show you the highlights. Right. We're far and few in between that will actually show you. I know you have, I definitely have shared my crumbling moments. But there's far and few in between people that actually share with you like the realness of what happens. Any of my clients that work with me, like I'm the first one to be like, don't do that, because you're going to put yourself in a pickle in whatever situation, whether they're building a course or however their business is going to look like. So just keep that in mind, that you should, especially if you've been in corporate for such a long time, be very cautious, and it should be a strategic plan, right? There's an identity that happens when somebody works in corporate. They turn into this, like, they don't know how to think outside of the box. And it really does take years of entrepreneurship to be able to say, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm really good at it. 2 years ago, and I said this in the last 2 interviews that I've had, I had a place in my business where I had burnt out, and my mentor, I was on the phone with her and I was crying and I was like, I think I need to go back to corporate. And I love her for this because I say this now laughing, but I was literally in tears. And she said to me, she's like, okay. She's like, you know what? Maybe you're right. She's like, I'm going to send you a resume template and you can start doing that. And I was like, okay, great. And I remember I got off the phone, I started writing the resume. Look at your face. You're already laughing. And I legit wrote everything that I do in my business. And I looked at the resume and I'm like, well, shit. I was like, this is a terrible idea. Yeah. And I was like, no. And then I called her and she was cracking up. And I was like, you're laughing at me. She's like, it took you a whole 30 minutes. And I was like, she's like, I thought you were being serious. I was like, I was. She's like, Jennifer. And I was like, and I said to her, and I was like, well, and she said to me, she's like, you made a choice when you decided to be in this industry, and you're too far along to decide to change it. And I was like, you're right. And she's like, you're going to get paid less to do triple the amount of work because you can do 3 jobs in one.
Right.
And she's like, and you will last a month before you flip a shit. And I was like, you're absolutely right. And she's like, so get your shit together and do what you got to do. And I was like, yes, ma'am, you know? And I say all of that to say, because it is the path of entrepreneurship. When you choose to say, right, I'm going to go on my own, whatever business you decide to do as an entrepreneur, whether it's a brick and mortar or in this online space, you are deciding to go all in. And there is a point, there is like a threshold where you can go back. But eventually it gets harder the further you stay apart. So for people that are like on the fence, there's a plan. And my plan, I say it very simple. Get to a point that you know the exact amount of money you need to survive. Like if you know that you need $10,000 a month to cover your expenses, to be happy, be able to like actually live a life, like go out with your partner, maybe go to a concert. Like we're not talking about going to Louis Vuitton and blowing all this money, but the basics, right? Where for the next 3 to 6 months, you know that you're going to be okay and you can live off of that, then great. And simultaneously build that business. And I think you need 2 skill sets to be able to build any business, and that's sales and marketing.
Absolutely. I think I love that you bring up the sales and marketing conversation, because I think that people get this idea if that I just come up with this like great course idea that somehow I'm just going to get wealthy. You say something very controversial in your content, and that is that online courses are dead.
Yeah.
Which is funny, because I would just love to hear you rant a little bit about this. This was not one of the questions, but you brought it up, so I'm like, I can't wait to talk about this. So like, because again, I think people have this mindset that they're going to come up with this brilliant idea and everybody's going to want to buy their course, but they don't know anything about sales and marketing. And guess what? You can have a great course idea, you can have a great product, but if you do not understand sales and marketing, it's going to be crickets on the other end while you're waiting on notifications to come through of sales.
Yeah. I mean, I work with everyone. I don't just work with coaches. I've worked with every type of business across the board, from a consulting aspect and from like an online space aspect. And you can be a lawyer, you can be a therapist, you can be an absolute genius at what you do. But if you don't know how to market what you sell, there's no point. There's absolutely no point.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit about that. So like, if digital courses are dead, as you say, then what should somebody be doing that's in the online space then?
So I want to clarify that. They're dead, they're dying. I think they're more so dying. I think they're dying because of AI. I think we're getting to a point where artificial intelligence is going to take over. Like, it's just so much easier for people to get knowledge nowadays.
Right.
And why would somebody spend $97 on a program? And truth be told, like, the way you have to think, and this is the way I explain this to people, I was like, you have to think of how much energy it's going to take for you to create this product, and how much input you're going to put and how much you're going to get in return. And so if your goal is to make $100,000 in a month, or $50,000 or $20,000 a month, a $97 course, if you don't know how to sell yourself as a brand, isn't going to get you there. It's just going to take a lot longer. So if you're listening and you're, wanting to quit your 9 to 5, and you're like, oh, I have this crazy course idea and I want to sell it for $47, and people automatically do like the lowest, because they're like, oh, it'll be so cheap, we'll buy. Guys, I have sold things for $47 that were gold, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter how cheap it was. If the value and you don't know how to sell it isn't there, people won't buy it. And that's just period. I have bought programs. I don't know. I'm like notorious for this. Like, I've bought courses and programs that I've never even touched. I've looked at the first module and I'm like, I can't believe people pay money for this. Like, it's like absolute shit. And it's like, oh my God. Like, and it makes me feel better. It's almost like an ego thing. Cause it's like, I put so much energy into what I provide. That there's value there. And I don't hesitate when I quote something, right? When I say this is $97, it's probably worth way more than that, but I'm going to sell it for that. Yeah. So I think that's the biggest thing, is that you have to look at the overall picture, and people automatically look at themselves at the level of the people they admire. And it's like, you and I have been doing this for a really long time. We now know the kind of business we aim to create, and we know our goals. We know what we're trying to measure up against. We've failed plenty, and we've succeeded enough to know in what direction we want to go in. And so it's not necessarily that they're dead, they're dying. I think the people that have great success are people that have a massive audience and have a huge community. It's just easier because it's a numbers game. You're just putting it in front of more people.
Volume.
Yeah. And the majority of people don't have a big audience. And so you're, putting it a $97 product on your 1,000 followers, and it's going to be really hard to sell that product. And then that just leads to burnout.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really good. Let me ask another question connected to that then.
Yeah.
So like, let's say that somebody does have like, when I started my journey, I had 3,800 people that were following me. But then I had this unicorn video that took off that made me go viral. The next thing you know, I went from 3,800 to like 150,000 people in like a matter of 2 weeks. And
How is that? Like, how is that feeling? Look at your face.
It was wild. I mean, in some ways, like, I mean, that just happened like 4 months ago, 3 months ago. And so like, it was wild because it was happening and I didn't even know it. So like, I'd already kind of like, okay, I'm building this business. I'm letting people know that like I have this community that I'm building and I'm inviting them into it. But then I'm really dialing in this Instagram process, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to dial this in. I'm going to dial in my niche, and I'm really going to speak to that one person. And all of a sudden I get this phone call and it's like, hey, Mark, have you like seen what's going on with your Instagram? And I was like, no, what's happening? And they're like, well, you probably need to check it. And I look, and my Instagram audience had gone in like 4 hours from 3,800 to like 6,000. And I was like, oh, that's different. And so I see this video take off. Next thing you know, 2 hours later, my kids come to me, Dad, do you see what's going on with your Instagram? I'm like, what's happening? They're like, you're up to 15,000 followers now.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so for like the next 72 hours, we're just watching it grow and grow and grow. And then over the course of like 3 weeks, it grew by like 170 some thousand followers. And that was crazy. But I will say, like,
I started following you. I think I was like right before you hit 10,000.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. And then as you kept showing up on my feed, I was like, oh my God.
Isn't it crazy? And my friends that like have, like, I have friends that's what they do. Like, they're content creators. They've had videos go viral. But my friends started calling me and they were like, Mark, this is unheard of. Like, we've done like 2 and 3 million people that have watched our stuff. And like, we may grow maybe several hundred, maybe even sometimes a couple thousand, but like nothing like this. And I'm like, hey man, I don't know, but it was really wild. But I didn't, but my business actually was making money before I grew that audience. The audience only enhanced that. So like, I would love to hear your perspective on, since you brought it up, like, okay, let's say that somebody has 1,000 followers or subscribers or whatever on whatever platform. And like, what would you advise somebody to do when they're at that spot in their business? Like, I really want to be a content creator. I really want to launch, like, I want to be a part of this digital space. And as an entrepreneur, what would you advise them to do with an audience that size?
I love this question. One product, one funnel, baby. That's it.
I love it.
Stay focused. That is it. That is it. That is it. That's it. Don't start the podcast. Don't go on the YouTube channel. Dial in on your zone of genius. People would probably be like, oh, I'm going to do one-on-one, and I'm fine. I'm fine with you doing 3 or 4 one-on-one, but pay attention to your step-by-step process and the transformation you're taking someone. If I could have told myself when I first started this 3 months or a month in, and I have ADHD, so I have shiny object syndrome. I was like, oh, I had 2,000 followers. Yay. I'm now going to start a YouTube channel, and then I'm going to do a podcast, and then I'm going to like dance with a hamster on my shoulder. Like, and I'm like, no, Jennifer, like, stay focused.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to touch on that later when I burnt out and all the things, but stay focused. One product and one funnel. So I would create that step-by-step process, that transformation that I had. I would turn these one-on-one clients into a group program, minimum $2,000 for like 90 days. And I would test this process 90 days. And when I tell you that I would make sure that everything that I do is automated, because what you are doing is building, even if it was just me, I have a team of three people, very small. I used to have a much bigger team, which is not a good idea. not a good idea. Don't do that. There's also this like notion in the online space that like the bigger the team, the like cooler you are. And it's like the biggest BS ever. No. You start a business to not have to be a slave to that business.
Yes.
And when you get to a point that you are a slave, that is where you need to put the brakes and reassess why you started
really
this.
Good.
Because you don't have a business, you just have another job. The only difference is that you are literally doing 7 different jobs, and that isn't why you quit your 9 to 5, right?
True.
Yeah. So dial in on that one product, create a framework, like a method and a process that gets your person from point A to point B in the transformation. And then I would use that as the selling point to my group program.
It's really good. She's giving out gold, folks. She's giving out gold here. It's really good. Let me ask you this, because going back to the beginning of your journey, because I love it. Like going back and watching your content even before we did this podcast together, it's like really fun to see how people, like, I believe entrepreneurs have to learn how to pivot. I think the journey of the entrepreneur, they're like, there's not like some kind of destination out there. I know we all like to think that there's some destination I want to reach, but what I've enjoyed about being an entrepreneur is who I become in the process. And it's like, so I could give a flip about the destination. Like, I know one day, like there's a certain kind of house I want to give my wife. There's a certain kind of things that I want to experiences I want to give to my children. Like all of my dreams are for my family. So like there's a certain part of that. So yeah, in some ways, I guess there could be a destination, but I love being in the process. Like I love like who I'm becoming with each offer I make and each new threshold I meet in my business. And the way I started is not the way that it is right now. And so like you actually, like people that know you now or come on to your profile now and see what you're doing as a business. Like you started off right, if I remember correctly, when you left corporate world in 2015, you started as a travel blogger.
Yes, sir.
That is not what you're doing today, is it?
No. Oh, but you know, I was a very specific type. So, okay, I'll give you the backstory. So I work in New York City, born and raised in New York City.
Okay.
So I worked in a marketing agency. I was in marketing for about 6 years. And if there's anything I know is marketing and branding, I know like the back of my hand. And with that, I know a little bit of sales, obviously as an entrepreneur, which I say this all the time. Like if you're going to become an entrepreneur, your title should just be a salesperson. Like you need to learn to sell. If you had to pick like which one, marketing or sales, I would do sales over marketing, because I have learned to sell ice to a polar bear. Like, and it really is about the value, and that's a skill set, right?
Yeah.
I had somebody a couple weeks ago, who was graduating college, and she messaged me and she was like, look, I really want to become an entrepreneur. And I said, go buy a sales course. She was like, what? I was like, learn to sell, make money, and then do whatever the heck you want. And then she was like, I was like, that's a skill nobody can take away from you.
True.
And you will have that forever. So coming from a marketing background, I used to work with consumer packaged goods, and there was a company so I worked at an agency, and there was a company that we represented. I'm not allowed to say what it was, but it was a really big company. And they were working with mommy bloggers. So you're going to laugh at this. The goal was to become a mommy blogger because Mark, I wrote a $250,000 check to a mommy blogger. Yeah, look at your face. I hope people are going to watch this on video. His eyes just went boom.
Guys.
Wait. Yeah. It gets even better. She was a huge YouTuber. I mean, to be fair, she had a massive following. So she was a huge YouTuber, and it was for a video, 2 recipes on her blog. She had something like over like 2.3 million monthly views on her blog. And then at the time, remember, this was back in 2013, 2014. Instagram was still fairly new. So there was only photos. So it was photos and it was like one post. So it was 4 assets for a total of 200, and like becoming an influencer and like becoming a blogger. And that's what I had called myself, and like realizing the work that it took behind it, for sure. But 250,000, I was like, I remember like signing this check on behalf of my client and being like, almost like falling off my chair.
Yeah.
And then that night, I'm walking home in the freezing cold to Port Authority. I lived at the time in Hoboken. Walking back home, and I'm getting on the bus, and I was listening to New York Times podcast, and the 18-year-old that created Snapchat sold it for like $2.7 billion. And I remember being covered at like 24 years old in like snow boots and like just pissed. And I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? Like, there's so much there. And like, if we give a little bit more of a backstory, I think that I grew up soon. Like, my brother died. A lot changed in my life, and I looked at life very differently than most people at 24. I lost a lot of friends. I was in a very dark place. So for me, my happy place was work. I was a workaholic. That's where I like dove head first, right?
You escaped there, yeah.
100%. And I started out as a travel blogger. Now, I'd worked the 9 to 5, and every year for 2 weeks, I went on a vacation by myself. I love traveling by myself. And I was like, this doesn't make me like, I'm only happy of course I'm happy throughout the year, but like, I'm only really happy 2 weeks out of the year. And I was like, and I know that there's more to life. Like, after all I've been through, like, I know that there's more to life. And I remember having my like come to Jesus moment where I realized like, something's got to change, and I'm going to take that responsibility to change it. So I started traveling with clean water filters to developing countries.
Wow.
And I worked with social sustainable brands. I loved it. I was so broke. I was so poor for that year, 2015. That was my first article in Forbes, because I pitched to them. I left. I was so beautiful. I left with $14,000 in the bank.
Wow.
No debt whatsoever. I had zero debt. $14,000, and I had like 2 credit cards. And I knew how to write. I taught myself how to create websites, and I was teaching myself how to edit my own videos.
Wow.
And I was really hungry, and I was 25 years old. And I said, in the very least, I will have had a year that I got to travel the world by myself and heal parts of me that needed to be, I have goosebumps saying this, like heal parts of me that needed to be healed.
Yes.
And I left in February of 2015. And the first thing I did was the Camino of Santiago. I don't know if you know what that is.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. It's like a pilgrimage walk.
Yep.
And I would consider myself pretty spiritual. And that for me was first of all, it wasn't like a stroll in the park. It was kind of painful. And you're like walking 20 miles a day, and you're walking alone. And I did it for 2.5 weeks. And after that, I was like, game over, baby. Like, we're going in. And I traveled the world that entire year with $14,000. I made another $14,000 through brand sponsorships and all the things. At the end of that year, so it was like November, December. No, that was not true. It was July of 2016. Okay. Forbes picked up the article. I had pitched to them. And after that, then really things started to skyrocket in that specific like niche of what I did. But yeah, amazing. I started as a travel blogger, and I ate oatmeal like literally. I was so skinny. I looked so good, but I was so broke.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's like the beauty, right, of being 25, so awesome. Young, not having the responsibilities that some people do, the privilege. I will say the privilege, right?
Sure.
And be willing to like risk it. Because to me, I was like, look, I have 2 degrees. I really have nothing to lose. And when am I ever going to do this? Like, I want to be a mom one day, and I want to have kids.
Yeah. That's amazing. I love that you share the story that you go take that walk, because I think that and quite a significant walk, may I add. To be 2.5 weeks alone with your thoughts, it can be tormenting. To be honest, I'll tell you, I'll tell you a story because most of the people that watch, they know my background as a pastor. And I remember like hustle culture exists in business, but hustle culture exists in church too. And I definitely was a part of
Everywhere.
that. So like I pastored a church and I traveled 42 weeks out of the year and spent 6 weeks out of the country. And those weekends, sometimes I was speaking 5 to 7 times a weekend. So like
Wow.
there was a point in time where I had to take 3 different supplements to keep a voice to talk during the week. And most of the time would have to be on voice rest so I could make it to the weekend to do it again. And so like
Wow.
I know how that world exists. And I remember like, okay, so I walked away from that world in 2015. I walked away from
Mhm.
everything I knew. And then I find myself like in nowhere, South Carolina. We had bought a little house in the middle of these peach fields, and we're just doing life, right? And just being a husband and being a dad. And I remember telling my wife, like, I'm going to go on a retreat. Like, I'm going to go away to a cabin. I'm going to spend 3 days by myself. And like, I'm going to go up there and like, I'm going to have this like Jesus encounter where I'm going to get my life completely revolutionized. And I tell my friends now, I got up there for the first hour. Mind you, I burned every notebook and sermon I'd ever preached prior to that experience. So,
Wow.
like, I burned all of my work, everything I had invested hours, books, writing, journals, everything. And I was just like, this is a fresh start for me. And I get done with that. And like, now all of my sermons and all my stuff is ashes in the wind somewhere in North Carolina. And I'm sitting there and I'm left to myself and my thoughts. And I was like, I went up there to meet Jesus, but I'm pretty sure I met the devil instead. And you know what's funny is when I said that, immediately I heard the voice of the Spirit on the inside of me say, "That's not the devil, that's you."
Mm.
And you recognize like how much you've covered up the noise of your life and the hurt and the wounds and the pains of your life by the busyness you've participated in all those years. So if you're able to be alone, and the way I say it is, if you're able to be alone with the alone, eventually you get past you have obviously you have to deal with things, but then on the other side of you dealing with things comes a clarity, and that's what you're
Yeah.
saying. So like when I was asking you earlier, like what's your enough is enough, like your enough is recognizing the opportunity that was in front of you, the timing that was in front of you, all those things. But that walk is when you're like, hey, I'm done, and like I'm gonna do something different with my life now. Obviously you're doing something different. But I have a question for you. So I always look at money is always connected to mindset.
Mm.
And I say money's connected to mindset, and also like your wealth is connected to your perceived worth, to how you see yourself
Yep.
as worthy. What limiting beliefs about yourself did you have to overcome to be the person you are today?
Wow, I love that. Um, first of all, thank you for sharing your story,
Yeah,
uh,
for sure.
because I think that goes to this question as well. Like you said,
Mhm.
um, it's getting clear. Like it's almost like the God like pulled up a mirror and showed you, right?
Yep.
And being like, whether you like it or not, this is who you are. You have to love all parts of you.
Yeah.
And I think that goes to your question, like that answer. Um, you, this was like, what are we at 2024? In 2021 I started working with a hypnotherapist, and like anybody that's listening that does hypnotherapy, like take this for what it is. It wasn't like word for word what he said, but based on my experience and my memory, I'll never forget. He said to me, I said to him, what do most people like struggle with? And he said to me, he said self-love. And I'm in my head, I was like, what's this man talking about? And he's like, the worthiness to believe that like you want what you want in life. And I remember looking at
Mm.
him and him saying that to me, and me thinking like, this guy's full of shit. Like, like, does he know who I am? Like, of course I love myself. Like, what's like, like what? Um, and as all the things in my life happened, because I don't think you have, at least for me, right? Like, I had that moment in 2015 where I went on that walk and I realized like the veil was pulled up, and I'm like, I've been creating a life that I was told that I had to have, right? Here I am at 25. I lost my best friend. My life is completely upside down. My parents were still healing. My sister was still healing, and her husband, and I was alone. I had been through relationships that I ended, and I was completely alone, and I wanted it to be that way. And I'm like, and I'm not happy. Like, I got the job, I got 2 degrees, and I'm not happy. So they said that I would be happy, and I'm not happy. So what's going to make me happy? So when I quit to travel, and mind you, it wasn't like my parents were like, yay, congratulations. They were very scared. They were very nervous. And that's not how I was raised. I was raised Cuban, traditional, go to school, get a degree, get married, buy the house, get the dog, make the baby, in that order. And here I am just like flipping the table, and it's like, well, I'm not going to do any of that. I am going to go travel the world and help people. My parents were like, what? What's wrong with you? So it took a level of getting to a place to understand that it starts with you. I know that sounds so cliche. And every time I say that, I laugh. But it's true. It is 100% true. Like, it doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks at the core. And it hurts the most when it's like your friends and your family. It doesn't matter what they think. It's what you believe. It doesn't matter what your partner thinks. It's what you believe to be true. And I'll never forget that hypnotherapist, what he said to me. He's like, it mostly comes down to what you think you are worthy of having. And in 2023, I had my other moment where God pulled up the mirror, and I saw the life that I was creating and who I was becoming. And I'm like, this isn't actually what I want. Like, and I saw all of it. I saw the demons. I saw the dark side. And I was like, well, I got to learn to love myself again. And I got to learn to get to a place that I fully accept who I am, and that I am worthy of receiving what I want. And I'm still on that journey. I don't think that I'm woke and great and like everything is great. I think I'm still on that journey. I do believe it's like an energetic expansion, without getting too woo-woo, that I think there's a part of you that is like willing to receive what you think you are able. And if that's why your environment is so important, and I preach this so much, like that's why your mentorship, the communities that you're in, your friends and family is very important, because if everyone around you has a 9-to-5 and you are an entrepreneur who wants to scale to $20, $50, $100,000 months, get in rooms with people that do it. Because if the people you talk to on a daily basis don't actually do that, it's going to take you a lot longer to get there.
Yeah. I mean, like, you literally have to surround yourself, with people that are doing it, because mindsets matter. Like, mindsets are connected to money. And so, like, if you're the wealthiest person in the room, you need to find a new room. If you're the smartest person in the room, you need to find a new room, because they've done what you're longing to do. And to go back just real quick, it really does come down to worth is your ability to receive love, and even love for yourself, period. And that's a big part of entrepreneurship, because if you don't believe in yourself, you will never take a risk on yourself. And so, like, you have to know you are dearly loved by God, number one, but to be able to receive that love to the point where it's like, there's no chance I can fail. I'd rather take a chance on me than anybody else, because I know me. And to be able to love yourself that well. And I think that's what happened to me even last year when our church burnt to the ground last year and we went through the fire. Like, at some point it was like, you know what, Mark, you've really boxed yourself in a literal way to like the church and what people have defined what a pastor does. And I'm like, I can pastor through a podcast. I can pastor people when I'm sitting down. Like, it doesn't matter. I can't be a traveling mommy blogger, but I could be whatever I want to be and pastor and love people where they're at. So I love that you bring that up, and there's just so many limiting beliefs that are connected to this, and you have to have mentors and people around you going after the same thing, because I think mentorship above anything, like what I value so much about my business coach and my mentors in my life, and even fathers that are in my life, is that they believe in me more than I believe in myself, and they're helping shift mindsets. So like I'm in the fight, I'm in the boxing match, they're in the corner, and they know my potential, they know what I can bring to the table, but I'm in the fight. And so I get to come back to a mentor, I get to come back to a father and a coach and sit down, and before I get back in the fight, they can be like, hey, you keep like doing this and you keep getting punched in the face. So how about let's do something different here? And how about you throw that right hook? Cause I've seen you do that really well. And they're able to reposition me, help renew my mind about myself, my offers, all the things that I'm doing, and give me the grace to say, I can do this. Like I can do this. And I think that's really, really important. So appreciate you sharing that. I want to ask you though, like, did you ever struggle to like put yourself on camera or any of those things? Did you ever go through those struggles with social media and like, all right, I'm just going to show up in front of a camera and talk to a random people?
It's really interesting. Well, first of all, yes, 100%. But okay, wait, I have to say something I want to add to what you said. I was listening to a podcast by Alex Hormozi. You know who Alex Hormozi is?
Yep.
And he started crying. It was oh my God, what was it? It was Stephen Bartel's CEO, Diary of a CEO podcast. Mm-hmm. And Alex was crying because he was talking about his wife and how they got to that point where he lost everything. And he was like, listen, like they had only been like 8 months in or something. And he was like, you can walk away. Like, I can barely afford to like pay rent. Like, right. If you want to leave me, like I would leave me. And she like said, no, I believe in you. And I remember listening to that podcast and crying. And then also like watching him, and like, you can see it in his face that like what you said is you need that one person to believe in you. And he says it in that podcast. He's like, you just need that one person in the moments and the times that you don't believe in yourself. And when it's really easy to say when you're up on a high, like, yeah, I believe in myself. But the real test is when you meet the devil, right? As you said, it's when you're face to face and you're like, oh, like, can I do this? I don't know. And it is really hard to do that when you're by yourself, when you don't have that person. And it takes a different mental strength that I do believe comes from God, because I've been, which is why I said to you, it's so important. My relationship is such a beautiful experience for me because I was alone for so long. And when I had that experience last year where I was like, oh no, I was alone. And the only other person I had was God. And I remember talking to him, and he never answered in the way I thought he was going to answer. Like, you think he's going to come down. It's nice, but it doesn't happen like that. But he answered in all the other ways that I do know that he answers, right? And that was my leading path. But yeah, so I definitely wanted to say that I think that is really important, is having that community, having that one person that really sticks by you, or that's several people if you're fortunate and privileged enough to have that. Okay, what was your question? Because I forgot.
Well, basically, I wanted to kind of like nail down a couple of like, what are some actual limiting beliefs that you had to overcome? You know, and it could be something as simple as like overcoming being in front of the camera, or, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so I never really had the fear about being in front of the camera. I did, but I didn't, because I was like, I mean, who cares? You've got nothing else. I didn't put too much energy into it. So I started on YouTube. YouTube was always my favorite. I hid the video, but my very first YouTube video was atrocious. Like, I look back at it and I'm like, there's like so many ums, and I'm like, guys, like it was not pretty. And I show that to my clients when we have like people that join the program, and they're like, I'm really scared to show up. And I'm like, let me show you how I started, because you're comparing yourself to me, and I'm used to it. Like, I do enjoy getting on camera now. Not for me, it's a lot easier. But I didn't start that way, right? Like, you have to remember, like, it's just like confidence. It isn't something that you come right out of the gate. It's built over time. Every time you step into, you know, that out of that comfort zone and just push yourself a little bit more. Right. But I would say the biggest, and it's something I'm still working on, is really being seen. And not in the, I'm scared that people are going to see me on camera. It's, how do I share my opinion? And it not, even if it's not justified, even if it's not, people don't like it, and being fully seen for the people that I care of the most, right? So like my friends and my family, like stepping over that.
Yeah.
Another big mindset shift is, I don't believe we're the fear of the fear of failure. It's the fear of success. I think society teaches us to fail. They actually do a really good job of like, you can start all over again. Everything is fine. No, it's when you get to that level of success and you think, what's next? And do I deserve more? I'm going to sound like a real a-hole for saying this, but $10,000 or getting to $10,000 is not a big deal, right?
Right.
Like that is, once you get there, you're like, okay, that was easy. That wasn't so bad. 20, not a big deal. But when you get to like 50 or 100, it's a whole different ballgame, because what got you to the 10 is not what's going to get you to 50. And it's definitely not what's going to get you to 100. And so you have to be, again, understanding and willing and deserving that like you deserve this and you get to have this. And then also putting the strategies into place. But it's a big mental game. It's a big mental game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I tell people, I'm like, the real journey, like you think there's this destination, and it's like, no, like it requires you to become something to get to 10,000. It requires you to become something to get to 20, to 30, to 40. And it's like, quit making the numbers the destination. Like you have to become something, and you have to take action from who you are to be able to step into those new places and new realms. Because with every new, I think it's Harmozy that said this, like with every solution you create more problems.
Yeah.
And so like it requires you to grow as a human being. I told people, I'm like, a pastor didn't require a lot of faith, because people's lives would fall apart and you just had to be there for it.
Yeah.
In ways, as an entrepreneur, though, it actually takes real faith to believe in yourself, to believe in what you have to offer, and to believe that you can actually take the knowledge, the wisdom, the passion you have, and actually transform someone else's life with your knowledge and your passion. So like it really does require you to become something, for you to do something effectively. So yeah, I appreciate you sharing some of that. I mean, that's a part that I don't think a lot of people talk about, is success has challenges, just as many challenges as failure does. Failure's like, okay, that's just a normal part of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah. And I think our society really sets us up for that. Like, you're meant to fail. And like, the more you fail, the better it is, because you like know what to fix.
Exactly.
I also think success can make you lazy.
Oh, for sure. Talk about it.
So in 2022, I had $500,000 in my business, and I was making like $70,000, $80,000 months. And I took my foot off the gas. And I let my team, it's okay. They can figure it out. We can create content. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Big mistake. Big mistake. And and I remember looking back and laughing and be like, who did I think I was? Like, why did I think that was a great idea? Like, why did I think I could take my foot off the grass? And like, there was a level of laziness. And I brought on like salespeople to do the sales calls. And I was like, I don't need to get on sales calls anymore. And again, it was the ego. And it was what I was seeing on social media. And I was like watching all these people like, oh, I'm right there. I don't need to do it either. And I was humbled. Quickly. I was very humbled, and I was like, oh, this is not good. Wow. When you quickly see those numbers like drop, and you're like, oh, what am I doing? What have I built here?
Wow.
But yeah, I do think that success makes you lazy, which is why it's really important to like ground yourself. And I'm not even talking about like when you have all this money. I mean, think about it. Even like these superstars or these like celebrities that you make that one movie that kicks off their entire career, or like kids celebrities, and they make all of this money and they don't know what to do with it, and they go crazy, right? You kind, obviously mine wasn't to that extent, but you get it. Like you do understand to a certain point. You're like, you need to ground yourself. You need to have the intention, the goals. That's why, again, having that mentorship, having somebody who's watching you outside of the arena and telling you, hey, Jen, stop, is important.
Yeah. That's really good. That's really good. All right, let's shift gears here. I got like 3 more questions that I have to ask you, so I hope you're okay with time right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I'm good.
so so I want to get into something I heard you talk about with burnout here,
Yeah.
because I think this is something that people can avoid, which is why you need a mentor, which is
Yeah.
why you need somebody coaching you, because I think burnout is avoidable.
Yeah.
But you need people in your life who have been through it. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
some of us had to go through it to help other people not go through it. Um, but I think that the entrepreneur is always thinking of ideas, solutions to
Always.
problems, and we're always making offers. Like, we're always making offers. And so, but many times I think we create offers that we know we can do, but then they exceed our like capacity to fulfill them.
Yeah.
I see people do this all the time. Like, one of my business partners that works with me, like, I joke with him that I think his expertise in many of the businesses he worked in prior to working with me, which thankfully I don't have him in this same problem, but in all the companies he worked in before, he always would go into a company to kind of like help them clean up the mess because they oversold and underdelivered. And so,
Mm.
like, he had to help basically take this ship that is about to sink, about to capsize,
Yep.
and help them like stay afloat and help them deliver on what they oversold on. And so we do that all the time as an entrepreneur, creating ideas and putting out offers that exceed our capacity, and eventually we
Yep.
burn out. So if the goal is to find both like financial freedom and time freedom, then how can we make sure we don't become another victim to hustle culture and find ourselves enslaved again to work? So, like, can you speak to that a little bit? Because I know you've walked through that season of life yourself.
Yeah. 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 Well, I think doing what we said earlier, one product, one funnel, staying focused on that. Even when the product starts doing well and you're like, okay, like I'm making $10,000 a month, like I can go to, no, don't do that. Like, have a goal for that product, right? If your goal, so like right now, my one product, my one container is between 30 and 50. My goal is to scale that in the next year to 150. I want to scale that one container 150. That's going to take systems and processes over and over and reiterating.
Mhm.
Between now and then, I'm not going to start a YouTube channel, podcast, book. No, I'm just going to focus on that. I'm not going to sell another mastermind. I'm not going to sell another low ticket container because my energy is I only have so much energy, and that energy needs to go to building out that process and the systems. Now, I might launch a podcast, which, Mark, you have to come if I do.
Hey, I'm in.
But
I'm already
yes,
here.
yes. But that would be like the extent of it, right? But it would just be focused on that one container. I wouldn't start building out another product. If somebody finishes and they're like, Jen, we want more, which was a beautiful place to be, which is where I was and what happened to me, right? I had my mastermind, and it was my high ticket mastermind. It was what scaled me to $500,000, and people were finishing the mastermind, they were re-signing, and then there was only so much they could be in there for. So I created another product, and then I had an audience of people who wanted me right before the mastermind, so I created another product underneath it. So in terms of like the product suite, I had 3 big products. And
Wow.
I got to a point that I was like, this is a lot. And this isn't why I did this. This isn't why I built this.
Mhm.
And if I can go back to her 2 years ago and be like, okay, I mean, I kind of did it. I slowly closed out all the programs and then rebuilt the business from a place of like, this feels really good. I want this. And it was, again, one product and one funnel. And now it's just having the accountability. So like, for example, my OBM, if I come to her and I'm like, I want to build a course, like I literally said to her when I hired her, I was like, if I say that to you, you are to say absolutely not. And she was like, well, and was like, no, listen to me. This is your job dependent. This is a test. And then like to test her 3 weeks later, I show up to the call. I'm like, I'm ready to create a course. And she was like, you can't do that. And I was like, good girl. I was like, yes. I was like, we are not doing that.
That's
but
awesome.
like, it really is just stay focused on that one product. And taking care of yourself, having that like work-life balance. I had a friend of mine who just left their corporate. She'd been in corporate for 10 years, working in New York City. She's built a beautiful career coaching business, and she's in a great place. And she was like, I'm ready to get on the horse. And I said, no, like you literally just quit last week. Give yourself a vacation. And
Yeah.
she's like, but, and I was like, no, give yourself, I'm like, if you want to go on vacation, go for it. But if I could have, and what I tell most of my clients is like, when you're doing that transition, treat your transition as if you still had that 9 to 5. Right. I was like, have a routine with yourself, right? But give yourself that freedom. So go on that 1 week vacation, come back and start waking up at 7 a.m. Instead of going into the office, go to the gym and then come back and start doing work. But start building that routine in the foundation, because the routines is the discipline that you need to build that $100 million business that you want to have.
It's good. That's really good. It's really good. I love that. Next question I kind of want to pick your brain on is those, for those who have, they've made the decision to step into this space as a digital entrepreneur. Okay. Yep. What is something that they should be doing consistently without question? Like, you need to be doing this
every day. You need to be posting and you need to be in the DMs and not cold selling. That's not what I mean. Let me reference this. Like, any new person that you get introducing yourself. Social media is built to build connections.
Yes.
Business is a series of connections and relationships.
Yes.
The stages that I've been on, the press that I've gotten, it's through all of my connections. It's through all of the relationships that I've built through the years.
Yes.
And if you can do that, my clients stay with me because I've built relationships and I care. So build those relationships. You need to be posting and you need to be in the DMs, going to these networking events, introducing yourself, not being afraid to tell people what you do. And I think people are.
It's called social media.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, I'll tell you about one of the coolest experiences. I almost spent $10,000 the other day just because of somebody like just going out of their way to be social with me. Okay. So like, I won't say who or whatever, but these people know who they are. Okay. So like, everybody does the cold call thing. You get this. I'm sure you get this all the time. I mean, like, ever since the viral video, I have more video editors, email marketers, and the whole drill, what I'm saying, that are making cold calls and or cold DMs and pitching their thing and doing all that. But I had this online coach reach out to me from Southern California and did a video that was personalized directly towards me. Wow. And was just like, hey, Mark, I've been following the stuff you're doing on social. I think it's amazing. I looked over your program, told me the name of my program, what I had to offer. And he was like, man, I just want to let you know, like, I think we can help you scale this thing to, and he started running numbers. Yeah. And I literally I signed up for their whole call and went through the whole thing. Just because he got super personal with me. And it wasn't just like reading a script. It wasn't just like trying to hit the cliff notes of his offer or what, like, he cared enough about me. And this is somebody with a large audience too, mind you. Like, this is somebody that has 4 times the audience that I have on social media. But the fact that he took the time to come back and to give a message to me that's personalized on video, took enough time to at least read half of what I was doing and be like, I want to help you. I immediately signed up and then, was just like, hey, thank you for that. And I stay in contact with those people to this day. And, and now listen, this was before my video went viral. So this was when I had 3,800 people. So, so this is why I tell people, be nice to everyone. Because you do not know who that person will become. Mm-hmm. I'm just here to tell you, like, people probably are having a bad day today because they did not treat Mark Zuckerberg well when they were in high school together. People right now are having a hard time because they made fun of Bill Gates when he was in middle school. And it's like, if you would have been kind, you might have had a different story. So it's like, always be kind to people. You never know who they're going to become. So this story means a lot more to me in what you're saying about what should people do consistently. Show up for people on social media, be social, get in their DMs. And this guy who had an audience 3 times what I have now. But back then, so he's got like over 800,000 followers on Instagram. He's responding to me at 3,800 people with a detailed video specifically aimed at me. That's a big deal.
That's a huge deal. That's great sales right there. Yeah. And that's what people should be doing, because it's a connection. It just I don't know the exact numbers, because it's either 60 or 70s, but basically if you can do what they call in real estate, belly to belly contact, right? So in this case, in the digital space, it's video, Zoom, right? So not texting, not phone calling, just getting somebody to see your face. You are 79% more likely to close the sale.
That is strong right there.
Yes. So if you can get on the call and give somebody their 2 cents and help them actually be of service, because that's what you are. You're a service provider in the online space. You are going to make a huge difference. So if you're just starting out and you're a copywriter, even if you're a business coach and you're like, where do I get these clients? Go find people, go stalk some people and be like, hey, I'm really good at systems. This is how I can help you.
It's really good.
I've had that before. I've had somebody send me a video and I've done the whole thing. I've gotten on the call. It's been great. Just like, wow.
I know you learn a ton, and I told them over and over again, you guys don't know how much this means for you to take the time and actually like personalize this for me. And like, it showed enough that you cared, because people in the social media space, they think it's not real.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's real, guys. Like, what you say on social media matters. Like, how you show up for people even on social media matters. And guess what? If you never respond to people in your comments, if you never respond to people in the DMs, like, guess what? You come off as rude and uninterested, and they move on to somebody that will find interest in them. So I think that's really good. So thanks for that. Okay. So we're like 57 minutes into this conversation, and you've been amazing. And I hope that maybe one day you'll do this with me again.
Yes,
I got
sir.
one more question.
I think the next one has to be in person when I do my podcast. You have to come down here in Miami. We have to
I'm in.
Right?
I'm totally in. I have been. Okay. So last time I was I was actually in Miami Gardens, Florida. Okay. And so I did like this whole preaching tour where I flew into Orlando, Sanford. I went over to Fort Pierce, went from Fort Pierce, like, this is crazy. And I did this all in a car. I went to Fort Pierce, then I went to Miami Gardens, and then back to Orlando. And we did this like in a thing. Okay. So out of all the freaking vehicles that they had for me to rent, they had one. This was back in 2000. This is back into like 2008. Okay. Okay. So listen, so I'm driving cross country in Florida, coast to coast, right? North to south, east to west.
When was this? Around what time? Was it like in the dead of August?
No, this would have been like March 2008. No, I'm sorry. It would have been like April 2008.
Okay, so the humidity had just started to kick in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'm traveling around though in a yellow Xterra. I look like a freaking banana driving.
I was going to say a banana boat.
So my last memory of Miami Gardens is me driving around in this ugly yellow Nissan Xterra. And for anybody out there that has an ugly yellow Nissan Xterra, I'm sorry, but it's not for me. Maybe for you, it's just not for me. But
fit right in. You fit right in. There's like yellow Porsches and Ferraris and like bright green. It's Miami.
But see, here's the deal.
It's yellow, not me, but I get it.
Yellow Porsche is different from yellow Nissan Xterra. Okay, so it's a big difference here.
That's great.
But yes, I would be happy to do it in person and to bring you here. Like, we're developing this whole new studio setup, so we'll have to have you come visit the Hollywood of the South. Like, Covington, Georgia is amazing. If you've seen Sweet Home Alabama, that was recorded here. If you've seen Facing the Giants, that was recorded here. And then most of your Hallmark and ABC, NBC. Like, you can come to Covington in August and they will have snow blowed all over recording a Christmas movie for Hallmark here. Like, it's the wildest thing. So anyways, but yeah, I'm thankful for this connection. I'm thankful you did the podcast. I've got one more question for you, and this was one that I had to ask you
Okay.
because again, I want to help people take the next step, right?
Yep.
And so like for those who are still on the fence about stepping into, and I love to reference it as the creator economy because that gives you a whole plethora of opportunities. Okay. So what advice would you give them to make the leap and take the risk on themselves? They're on the fence, but what could you say to maybe even shove them off the fence?
Like push them off the fence. Well, first of all, the 2024, I believe the creator economy is supposed to hit next year something like 3 billion.
It's huge.
That is huge. So there's definitely money to be made here, 100%. But you have to understand how it works, and I think that's where people hesitate. So I would say learn and understand all of your options, whether that's influencing, course creator. I mean, I'm not a fan of MRR, but you got to do what you got to do, which is master resell rights. Learn what you got to do. But I would just say that like this industry, there's absolutely money to be made. And I think the real question you have to ask yourself, and I'll leave whoever's listening, is this. You get to the end of your life and would you rather ask yourself, what if, or thank God? And I think that is the ultimate question. Like, how do you want to get to the end of your life? And what is it that you want to respond? When I left, and take it with a grain of salt, right? I was 25. It was really about me getting to a point. I literally said to myself, okay, in 5 years, where do I want to be? Do I want to wonder, like, what if this actually worked out for me? Or could I do this? And I got to the 5 years and I'm like, okay, I did it. Now I get to pivot and do something else. And that's how I lived my whole life. I know that the day that I die, I will look back and I will be like, it was fun. Like I lived and I learned. Yes, I made a lot of money. Yes, I lost a lot of money. And I also made more memories. And that's what we're here for. Yeah. We're here to experience all of that. Like you said, entrepreneurship is a journey. It's not about the destination. You're going to get there eventually. If you keep showing up, it's inevitable. You're going to get there, I promise. It's just a numbers game. That's all it is. And if you can somehow manage to remove the emotion, which is the hardest part, you're already 10 steps ahead than most people.
So good. Yeah. So good. There's a book title right there. Yeah. What if, or thank God. That is strong. That is really good. I love that. Well, you were mentioning about the creator economy right now. The current projections right now is that it will generate approximately 156 billion in this year. In this year, and says it could be, and they're projecting growth to over 191 billion by 2025.
Oh my god!
And potentially reaching 480 billion by 2027. That's the current statistics out on it.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
So like we haven't even begun, and I really feel like there's a moment, there's a space in time right now that people need to take this moment, like you said, and they need to learn and invest in coaches, invest in mentors, invest in communities. So having said that, what offer do you have? Like, what's going on in your world? And tell our audience about what you're doing right now.
Well, if you're listening to this, you can go over to my Instagram and you can either comment on any of my posts, or you could shoot me a message and with the word money. And I have a free training on a masterclass on how to create and sell, a free class on how to create and sell your online program. And it's how to scale it to 10K months. And if you're interested and ready to take the next step and actually invest in yourself, then you can DM me the word offer. And I have my Simplify to Amplify Accelerator, where we take you to building out your online high ticket coaching program in 90 days with reoccurring revenue. And there's a guarantee. So it's exciting.
Beautiful. Well, I hope that those of you that are watching this will jump over there. You need to follow Jen for sure. I'm calling her Jen,
Yeah,
I already had her married off by the beginning of the podcast, but apparently that's not. I read too far into it. He's important enough to make it to the gram. So
he is.
okay,
It's a big step for
so
me.
let me speak to the boyfriend for a second. You've got a good one. Don't let her slip. I mean, so you don't want to get to the end of your life and say, "What if?" or "Thank God." So,
He's gonna love this. He's
yeah.
gonna love this.
So, anyways, seriously, Jen, thank you so much for spending time with us today. You're such a bright light. I love the vulnerability, the transparency. Go over there and follow her on Instagram right now, and take the masterclass. Learn something. Invest in yourself. And I'm always going to bring on other entrepreneurs on this podcast, and people are like, "Mark, you need to be pitching your own stuff." I'm like, "Listen, God is big. He loves us all, and there's more than enough to go around, and we're all going to make the world a better place. So we're good." But Jen, thank you again for just being so open, honest about your story, what you've been through, and giving us gold, absolute gold in this podcast. It was amazing. Thank you for it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.